Recently, I've been feeling like I'm going into a slump. I just kind of don't like any book I'm reading. So happy with how my reading has gone. Like, I reached 100 books this year. I got to about like 95 and it just started going like and I just don't know how to fix it. Like, I don't know what to do to make myself love reading like don't get me wrong, I still love it, but like sometimes it does just feel like a chore when it shouldn't. And everyone feels like this. Do not get me wrong, I know everyone feels like this, whether you've just taken a break and you're trying to get back into it, whether you've read, because the thing is, reading is like asking you to fall in love with these characters and go into this world, and then after maybe a few hours you just have to leave it all behind. Having to connect with so many different characters, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. People don't think reading's exhausting. I'm telling you now, it's exhausting. Maybe not in the same way as like running would be, but it is. It's exhausting. You want to do other things and like the book that's sitting on your bedside table just isn't what you want at that time. And I think I need to start properly like mood reading, because I feel like if I did that, if I didn't like force myself into reading certain books or like just accepted DNFing, would be fine. But what we're going to do this week is I've got a few self-made tips. Not that kind of tip. I'm going to cut that. What even would a self-made... Never... I don't know what I mean. But we're basically gonna try a few out and just see if we can fall back in love with reading. So let's dish about books, except I'm really excited, and that's what you need to be. You need to be excited for what you're gonna read, and I am for this week. Book one is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber, which is the third book in my favourite series, Once Upon a Broken Heart. This is the second time I've read it. One, read something like an anticipated read, and also read a book either in a series that you're in the middle of or at the end of a series, because then it's like, one, you're taking a series off your list, so you get to like spend a bit of time with the characters that you already know, so it's not like going into a completely new world. Okay, the sun's decided to come out, so we're in a bit of a weird place, but like I said, the first book is A Curse for True Love. Ignore the fact that this is not A Curse for True Love. I don't have a paper copy of my Kindles downstairs. I'm gonna do a kind of a summary over the series rather than the book, just because obviously it's the last book in a series. It's gonna spoil stuff if I tell you about like what happened if I read the blurb. Evangeline loves stories, kind of gets dragged into her own one. She kind of gets hunted, kind of gets... I literally can't say anything because everything that happens in the third one is a spoiler of the other two. Just imagine you get a tattoo of some hearts and you have to kiss some guys, otherwise you're dying. And you kind of make a big mistake. You're welcome. That was a good summary. Anyway, yeah, that was a terrible summary. This is our first book. It's kind of eating up. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've read 100 pages. I've read 98 pages, which is basically 100. And I just love it so much. It's so fast paced. It's so easy to get through. It's like, I know that I love the characters, so it's like, I actually think this is pulling me out of the... To be fair, I'm not really in a reading slump. I just feel like I'm going into one. And I felt like I've been going into one for a very long time. As you saw, I finished A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. Can I just say, 5-star series. I think I prefer in terms of fantasy. It's much more about the characters and how like they're traversing the world and what they're learning about themselves and how they're like overcoming challenges. Then I prefer big like battles and stuff like that. It's so much more about Evangeline and Jax than it is about how their relationship is going to affect the world. It's like how their relationship is going to affect themselves. And I think the pacing just works amazingly, because at the beginning the chapters are quite long, but as you go through and the stakes rise and more important things are happening, the chapters get really short, to the point where some of them, like I was reading it on my Kindle and obviously you can see the times, at the beginning some of them will be like 18 minutes and at the very end they would be like 1 or 2 or 3. Jax and Evangeline are my favourite couple ever. And honestly, this is the slow burn of all slow burns, because it takes 3 books for them to even kiss. I love the descriptions of costumes. It's like, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but you just see these like really like dazzling, like embellished costumes, and they're described so normally that it's like you can actually like you feel like you're a part of this world, because you can see just how like normal these things that are fantastical are to the people. I really like the writing style, don't get me wrong, but I think there are points, I think it might be because it's YA, there are points where the characters just kind of think things, but you're not really sure why they think things, and you don't really see it happening, they just think it. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Read a thriller and read a book by a well-known author. Misery by Stephen King. Paul Sheldon used to write for a living. Now he's writing to stay alive. Misery Chastain is dead. Paul Sheldon has just killed her. With relief, with joy. Misery made him rich. She was the heroine of a string of bestsellers, and now he wants to get onto some real writing. That's when the car accident happens, and he wakes up splintered and in pain in the remote mountain home of his rescuer. Annie Wilkes. The good news is that Annie was a nurse and has pain-killing drugs. The bad news is that she has long been Paul's #1 fan, and when she finds out what Paul has done to Misery, she doesn't like it. She doesn't like it at all. I've read about 25 pages. 29 pages, actually. And I started this. Sorry, I don't know why my trousers have become pantaloons. Let me just pull those down for you. It goes straight into him being in her care, and it took me a second to like get into that, and also starting a book on a train is not a good idea for me when I can't focus. Okay, yesterday, while I was reading A Curse for True Love, I was on the train, obviously. Well, not obviously, I was on the train, and there were these two men. It doesn't matter that they're men, they just were men. And they were both on their phones on a phone call, and I could just hear two different phone calls happening at the same time. I'm really nosy, so I was listening in to try and find out what was happening, but I was also trying to read A Curse for True Love at the same time. And then today, while I was getting off the train, I had to switch trains. I walked up to the door. I got up early so I'd be first at the door. I looked at the thing and it said door out of service. So I turned around to this woman, and she had headphones in, and I said, the door's out of service, and she looked at me like she had no idea what I was talking about. So I turned around, pressed the button, and the door opened. So I'm really sorry to that woman. I've been thinking about this all day. I hope she realises what happened, because I feel like she won't have. I'm in misery. I need to charge my laptop. I think the best part of this book is it's in an isolated setting, and you have one character kind of containing the other. But what it does really well is you can see the like mental deterioration, physical deterioration. You can see like every part of Paul, the main character, kind of like losing. His physical health worsens. He's been in a car crash. His legs don't work. You have in terms of like culture, he's a writer, he's an author. First of all, she is manipulating him to write a book that she wants him to write. Then you also have the typewriter. She gives him a typewriter, and watch as the actual typewriter itself is kind of destroying itself, and it's kind of like the loss of that link to culture. He's kind of deteriorating from like the modern man who's fully in control of himself. Like he can barely even type his books anymore, and he has to keep filling in the words for himself. And I think it's just done really well, like that kind of transition into sort of like the primal aspects of being human. And I'm really excited to see where it's going to go, because we still have just over 100 pages left. So at the beginning, I wasn't 100% sure of it, just because it starts off like in media res in the middle of the story, where he's already been kind of like captured, and I don't know, I kind of like seeing a bit of background. But then as it carried on, you kind of get the background as you're going, and I think it was like genuinely, I'm so glad that it started off as it did and didn't start off as I was hoping it would have, because honestly, this was like 4.5 stars. I don't know what could have made it better. And you watch as he kind of shifts from this like character who's sure of himself, and he like has the power, and you kind of you see the shift as he loses the power to not only Annie but also to his own like primal instincts in a way that you just didn't think possible at the beginning. You saw the writing of the book, like you saw some of the chapters, and I think it adds so much more to the character, because you kind of watch as he loses himself to that story as well. It's written so well. I read a lot of Frida McFadden books this year, and I really enjoyed The Housemaid. The other ones I was a bit unsure of. This is the type of writing I love. So if anyone has any recs, please. That's not me comparing him to Frida McFadden. I think they're both very good in their own right. I just mean I personally prefer this style of writing. Cool. Just wanted to say that, because when I'm doing this, I do not mean to like compare authors, or no, objectively one is better than the other and the other one shouldn't be right, whatever. I just mean, me personally, I prefer this over that, if that makes any sense. If you're gonna read one book, like one thriller mystery book this year, let it be this one. Tip number 3, well, it's more like tip number 72. Read a book by one of your favourite authors. Read a genre that you love, which for me was romance, and also annotate. And for that we read One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. As you can see, it was £5 from the Works. If you're going to the Works and you see this book, grab it. This was honestly 5 stars. High School Sweethearts, Emma and... I think I just said Sweethearts. High School Sweethearts, Emma and Jessie moved far away from home together, travelling the world, chasing every adventure, building a life of their own. 364 days after their wedding, Jessie is on a helicopter that goes missing mid-flight. Suddenly, he is gone. Years later, Emma is back in her hometown. She's grieved, she's learned to live again, she's fallen in love. At a family dinner one evening, she receives a phone call from Jessie. With a fiancé and a husband, heartbreak lies ahead. But is there such a thing as one true love? When I can tell you that I love this book, I don't think you can understand just how much. I don't know how to explain it, because this book... I'm going to read you some of the quotes. After Sam and I started dating, I noticed my laugh lines were getting deeper. I'm laughing more than I ever have. What else could you want in a person other than kindness and humour? I just love the idea of falling in love with someone who... Sorry, my parents are watching Paddington 2 and they're laughing. I just love the idea of falling in love with someone and being completely unable to not smile when you're around them. After Jessie died, which you know what happened, the book is split into parts. So you have the before, you have the after the phone call. You have the before the phone call, after the phone call, and then 2 other parts. In the after, there's a point where the book is written entirely in like... At the beginning, it's written all in first person, and then there's a section in the after, which is all entirely in the third person, where it's like, you do this, you do that. And honestly, I think things like that, where it's so like simple, but it's so beautiful, where it's like, it's a way of distancing you from the character, because it's like, you're never gonna understand how it feels to lose that person. Number 2, it's a way of like the main character trying to process their emotions by thinking, oh, this event didn't happen to me, it happened to you, it happened to someone else. And then the moment she accepts the fact that he's gone and that she can move on and still accept that she loved him, it switches back to the first person. You are happier to have known him than you are sad to have lost him. And now I wonder if grief isn't something like a shell. You wear it for a long time and then one day you realise you've outgrown it, so you put it down. Can you shut up, please? I'm trying to have an emotional moment. Thank you. God. I read the first 250 pages in one sitting. You can see the hints of like who her one true loves is going to be. If you need a book recommendations of something that is fast-paced, very much about like human emotion and the soul, I guess, and romance and love and falling in love with yourself as you fall in love with someone else, this is the one. But that's a story for another time, because unfortunately we are done for today. I know it's been a while since the last video. In my defense, I wasn't intending to take a little break, but I needed it, and I'm so glad that I can come back with this book. So we read 3 books. We read A Curse for True Love, we read Misery, and we read One True Loves. Oh, so much love is in the air. Okay, it's not even Valentine's Day yet. It's not even Valentine's Day yet. I hope you had a great time. I know I have. I hope you have a lovely day or a lovely rest of your day. I have no clue where you are. I hope you had a lovely Christmas as well. And yeah, I will see you soon. Toodles.